Alrighty, here we go. We are going to be looking at how the media and election campaigns are connected, affected by one another. And here's a great little political cartoon that just shows you how quick the media jumps from one election to the next. Here is the night of the 2008 election, and they're already talking about campaign ads for 2012. So, how does the media play a role in political campaigns? I mean, this is something a lot of you are already familiar with. If you look at this cartoon, you see Uncle Sam here, and just take a look at his face and what is coming from the TV set. You get an idea that, oh my God, it's like a bloodbath. It's so negative. It's so mean, the elections. And so, when we talk about media and political campaigns, TV coverage is huge. We talk about internet and how more people are using the internet to get their news, but TV advertising is still a huge part of campaigns. The advertising can be very expensive depending upon the time of day you run the ads, the network, the market you're in. If you're putting an ad in Washington, D.C., much more expensive than putting it in, let's say, Cincinnati, Ohio. No offense, Cincinnati. Um, the news coverage is, depending upon the network you're watching, is going to be very different. And then you also have the debates, and the debates, especially for presidential campaign, can be very important, especially if someone does really good or really bad. And then with newer media, you have a lot more blogging happening. You have a lot more Twitter, activity going on, which is, it's alive, of course. And so, when someone makes a gaffe or mistake, man, it is put out there really quick, and the media often pounces on it. We've talked a little bit about this before, but the media often likes to use or treat elections as horse races or competitions where they focus on who's first, who's second, who's third, who's rising, who's declining in polls and tracking polls. If you've made a gaffe or a mistake, will that hurt you? Will that help you or help your opponent? Horse race coverage also includes, the beauty and style of the candidate. That might sound kind of silly, but man, I mean, go back to our private media, and one of the things they focus on is stuff that people like to read about, watch, and a lot of that stuff is silly, beauty style of the candidate. What did they wear for this? Oh my God, they wore this tie with that jacket. Sounds silly, but the media does give that stuff a lot of attention, especially the cable shows. Um, the big problem here is that when you're focusing so much on how a candidate is doing, you often forget to focus on the issues. What is happening? What really matters? How do the candidates differ, or how are they similar? And that is a big complaint about the horse race coverage. So here you have two differing perspectives of TV and their importance in campaigns. Here you have Democratic candidate who ran many times, Adlai Stevenson, talking about how the idea that you can merchandise candidates for high office like breakfast cereal is ultimate indignity to the democratic process. How it's really making the democratic process more of a show rather than something really important. And then you have on the other side Nixon campaign consultant Roger Ailes. This is in 1968. Now, if you recognize the name, he's in charge of Fox News. Television is no gimmick, and nobody will ever be elected to major office again without presenting themselves well on it. And so here you have, within a 12-year period, this perspective on how television shouldn't be given much importance. And here you have Roger Ailes saying, if a candidate wants to do well, he or she has to look good, or else it's his job on the line. The last couple things I want to look at is just how money is influenced and connected here with campaigns and media. This is from the Washington Post 2012, and if you look at Obama and Romney, where did a large percentage of their money go? It went to advertising. $580 million just Obama spent. $470 million Romney spent. Even mail. I mean, mail, you think of it old school, but that's still, intent. It could be, advertising going on there as well. Fundraising, payroll administration, all that stuff, takes up money. But take a look at that. Most of the money that these guys raise and spend, TV advertising. And if you want to get even more specific, take a look at the states that received much more spending. Not every state receives an equal amount of TV spending. You look at states like Florida, Virginia, Ohio, North Carolina, Pennsylvania. The darker the color, the more spending. And man, you should be able to notice some interesting connections here. Why are some states getting more attention than others? Why would a candidate care more about Virginia than New York? I mean, New York has more electoral votes than Virginia. Texas has tons of electoral votes. California has tons of them. But why spend all this money on Nevada, on Colorado, on Iowa? Do you know? These are swing states. And these are states that sometimes go Democrat, sometimes go Republican, and candidates know this. And one of the more modern characteristics of presidential campaigning is focusing your resources on those swing states, hoping that you're able to get them to swing to your side. Um, as we said, TV ads are ridiculously expensive. Candidates in 2012 spent more than half of their money on the campaign ads. You need a lot of money to make them, and you need a lot of money to play them. Now, you can put it on YouTube for free. You can put them on your websites for free. But if you want to, get them on network television, cable television, you got to pay to play. And one of the things I hope to do in class is to look at some of these famous ads. My favorite is the Herman Cain one of 2011. This one, it just makes me giggle every time. We'll look at these in more depth if we don't get to it in this unit. Have a wonderful day, my students.